Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. John Henry Soto here, as always, bringing you the latest entertainment news in film, music, and even we do some nutritional stuff. See what's going on in the world of health. But today we're going to be covering some film news, some breakup news. Don't take your love away from me. Don't you leave my heart in misery. If you go, then I'll be blue. Breaking up is hard to do. Yes, it is true. They are breaking up. Who's breaking up? Well, Warner Brothers Discovery. Remember that whole wonderful merger? And they had all these huge conglomerate businesses and entities and content and all this great catalogs of of things that came together. Well, in 2026, there's a split, and recently Warner Brothers Discovery revealed the post-breakup plan for its 2026 split. And let's just say that they're not winning any creativity awards for the names. The streaming and the studio division keeps Warner Brothers while the cable networks become Discovery Global. Basically, a corporate mind wipe, pretending the whole merger never happened. It's like, you know what? Let's just go back to the way things were. Okay, I was not happy with you. And I just want to go back to the way things were. It's not you, it's me. It's me. I don't like you. So the leadership shuffle reads like a game of musical chairs while everyone mostly stays in their seat. David Zaslav Lav keeps running Warner Brothers while CFO Gunnar Wildenfels gets promoted to run Discovery Global. So Casey Bloys stays with HBO, and this person named Channing keeps TV, and the DC duo James Gunn and Peter Safran, which I've talked about here, are staying put as well. And here's how the splitting the assets. Here's the split of how it's happening. So Warner Brothers is going to get to keep the shiny toys, all the nice things. So Warner Brothers is the female in this split up. Just kidding. Warner Brothers gets the shiny toys, meaning HBO. They get HBO Max. They get DC Studios. They get all the film libraries and the gaming, while Discovery Global inherits the traditional TV assets, CNN, TNT, sports, Discovery channels, and Discovery Plus. And that's all they get, which is really the bottom of the barrel almost. CNN. I don't think nobody watches CNN. TNT sports, people watch that. Sports are always popular. Discovery Channel has some good programming. Discovery Plus, I had Discovery Plus, and I remember it being really good. Don't fully remember. If anybody remembers what's on there, let me know. 'Cause I kind of forgot. Um, let's see who's up here. All right. Oops. So, um, Warner Brothers will actually be the smaller sibling post split with roughly four. Isn't that interesting? So Warner Brothers is actually in the smaller with roughly 4.3 billion in quarterly revenue versus Discovery Global's 4.8, based on Warner Brothers' first quarter of 2025 financials. That makes a much more digestible acquisition target a deep pocketing buyers deep pocketed buyers in the future. So this is actually very interesting because they're saying they're getting I guess the shiny toys is sort of like, Warner Brothers they're getting all the fancy sports cards and the mansion, but Discovery is getting all the stock options, basically, all and a good pay. So they're both sides are doing well enough and the reason for that is because they do at some point want to sell. The thing is, nobody wants to buy CNN, right? Because CNN is just a lying network, so they don't have any real news on there. It's just a propaganda machine. So it's gotten such a bad reputation that what needs to happen, and maybe this will happen, someone needs to take it over and then just, do the news, just what's happening, just what's happening. Not no opinions, no nothing else, just what is happening. And this is part of the reason why a lot of these companies and even Colbert was canceled. And I don't dislike Colbert. I thought he was really funny on Comedy Central, and he was really funny with the Daily Show, and then his own show that he had on Comedy Central. I thought was very, very funny, very well written, very smart. But then it came over here with the Late Show, and it became more of a propaganda machine, just knocking one particular side of the coin, and it just became boring. And I think people were not watching it. The numbers were down. They're saying, "Well, we were number one." Well, it's hard to say you're number one when you're losing $40 million a year, and the person is being paid $20 million a year. So it's sort of like now they're down $60 million a year. So advertisers, which is what controls legacy media, by the way, advertisers control legacy media. All the other streaming platforms are controlled by subscribers, right? So subscribers are more in control of whether we're going to pull out, and Netflix has gone through that where they lost 100,000, subscribers overnight because of some bonehead move that they made. And they've learned their lesson. They have some really great content on theirs, they have both sides on there, but they're just putting out stuff. That's what they do, and the subscribers are the ones that are really more in control of it. Now, the legacy media is only controlled by advertisers. So if an advertiser has something that they want to sell, like American Apparel or something, and they want to sell their jeans, well, they're definitely not going to go on to a network that barely anybody watches. They're going to go somewhere where they're viewers. So the more money, or they're going to pay very, very little to put money out there. And that's probably what was happening. In order to pay for ads or to collect anything on these networks, these legacy media networks that are losing viewers every single day, they have to lower the price of the advertising. So some advertisers will take advantage of it, probably pharmaceutical companies because they got money to burn, maybe some laundry detergent company. These are the ones that are on there, and that's pretty much it, and so they have the money, they'll spend it, and they'll breakfast cereals if it's during the day, it's for kids, whatever, and medication, as I mentioned. So that's part of the concern if you're working for a legacy media, because you have to have advertisers all the time. So this is why, if we remember the days of Thursday night on NBC, where we had Cheers and Friends, and I can't remember, I think Frasier. It was just, maybe not Frasier because Friends, he was, whatever. There was all these shows that came on, and that was the place to be. Oh, Friends. Everybody was watching Thursday night. So where did the advertisers go on Thursday night? And how much did they get charged? A lot of money, millions of dollars, just to run one ad during a Friends episode. And that's how they make their money. That's how those shows were successful. That's how all those actors made millions and millions of dollars, because they were being paid what was available, which was millions of dollars. Legacy media is not there anymore. So with Discovery Global inheriting CNN, Discovery Channels, and Discovery Plus, the only salvation that I see there is TNT Sports, because sports are always different. Sports are always they're new, but you can't have reruns of sports, right? Unless it's the greatest, highlight reels shows or something like that. But you can't replay a sporting event from just a season of a football team from last year. You can't do that. Nobody's going to watch that. Nobody cares. They've already watched it. it's the new stuff. So it's always going to be new things. CNN, I said, like I said, it's just no one is watching it, and it doesn't provide good content. Discovery Channel, I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe they'll innovate. Maybe they'll come up with some new programming. I think Discovery Plus will do that, or has been doing that, and that's going to be a very interesting turn of events of how they actually manage that. So just to see what they do, it's going to be more digestible, the fact that the split is so evenly with revenue, because I believe that they're trying to sell. I think they'll probably hold on to it for a few years. I think CNN, this is my own personal thing, is getting they're going to be getting, uh, what do you call it? When you go in and you fix something, a reboot, a rehaul, they're going to go in and refurbish CNN, and just kind of strip it down and then just come back again with what it was, which was a news network, right? And I think that's what they're going to. Somebody is going to do that. I know there was talk about that in the past. There was still a little bit of control of the woke media. Still was interested in that, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. All right, let's move on. So the bigger picture: 3 years, 3,000 layoffs, and 45% stock drop later. We're essentially hitting command plus Z on one of the biggest media mergers ever. The $43 billion deal that was supposed to create a streaming giant is getting undone, because sometimes the best strategy is admitting when something isn't working, even if it costs billions to undo. Um, so 3 years ago, this big merger happened. Everyone thought, "Whoa, this is going to be huge," because you had the Discovery, you had both worlds together. You had the cable networks, you had the legacy, you had streaming, you had it all together, and you thought it was going to create this massive, massive thing. But I don't think that they didn't have the goods. I think they didn't have the management. I don't think they had the good leadership. I think they didn't have the innovative leadership, is what I'm trying to say. You can't just go in and say, okay, now we run this and we run it like you always run it. No, you have to innovate. There are companies like Netflix and Amazon and Apple TV. They're innovating with new shows, new concepts, new programming that's testing the waters and seeing. So they're willing to put their money where their mouth is and spend towards a creative future. Now, Netflix is creating these Netflix House, right? That's what it's called, Netflix House. And these are these big, giant conglomerate structures where you're going to be able to relive some of the TV shows and movies that you saw on Netflix, like Squid Games and what's the other one that's popular? Stranger Things. And they're going to have almost like a themed, these big structures are going to be themed, and you're going to be able to experience those shows as well as purchase things. And there's going to be food, and there's going to be all these different things. And they're building two of them right now in Philly and one in Dallas. And then the third one is coming in 2027, which is going to be in Las Vegas, which is going to be humongous. So what does this tell me? It tells me that Netflix is also betting on people wanting to be personalized and wanting to actually engage with humans in a live setting and do things, not just stream on their phones and stream on their TVs, all day long. They're thinking that people are going to want to have another experience. So they're investing in that. This is an innovative thing. They don't know if this is going to work. They think it is. I think it is going to work. I think people are tired of being at home. People want to go out and do stuff. People want to live their lives. We've lost so many years due to nonsense. It's time for us to really get back to living and getting out there. I'm in Tennessee, so we've been living since I got here 4 years ago. But the rest of the country wants to do that. The rest of the world wants to do that, and I think that places like Netflix House, I think it's going to bring some joy to some people. It's going to bring some community, some togetherness. Being unified. I think that's going to be a real asset, a real important thing for Netflix. So my point on all this is that you can't just have one of these incredible mergers where you have Warner Brothers Discovery and then just go along as nothing ever happened. You have to innovate in a way that's not just creating Marvel or DC movies. Um, you have to figure out something. You got to get in a room with really creative people, and then you got to try something that scares everybody, and that it's going to be a lot of work and it's going to cost a lot of money. But you have to try it, especially when you have that kind of money and that kind of an investment. This merger was humongous. It was a $43 billion deal 3 years ago when they got together, and here we are 3 years later, where they have thousands of layoffs. They have the 45% stock drop. I mean, the stock dropped 45%. That's a disaster. That is a disaster. I mean, if somebody invested $100 into the stock, they today have about $40, 40 something dollars, $45 or something. So if you can imagine that, how much money was lost during this whole time. And now they're just going to go back to, they are definitely hitting Command Z, saying, like, let's go back. This never happened. We didn't do this. Let's go back to normal. And that deal is going to happen next year. And that is it. So that's part of it. Now, looking ahead, what does this mean? Well, this conscious uncoupling completes by mid 2026. So we still have about a year to go on this. And the reason for that is because there's a lot of moving parts when you have such a huge merger like this. There's a lot of different planning, because now you're on your own and you can't, that's part of it. The companies will trade separately on the stock market, with Warner Brothers focusing on content creation and streaming growth for HBO. HBO Max is expanding to top European markets in 2026, while Discovery Global tries to squeeze profits from the declining cable business. So this is part of what's happening, and Discovery Global is in a bad position if they do not innovate, because cable television is part of the linear television or the legacy media, where it's linear television, right? It's just, you have to watch it on their time. Commercials come in, you have to watch the commercials. You need advertisers. All that stuff is part of this cable network, the cable business, right? Whereas streaming, you can fast forward, you can stop, you can watch your shows when you want to watch, and generally there's not a lot of commercials within the programming. You can stop and fast forward. More control for the consumer. Now, this is more of a streaming platform, so the subscribers are the ones that are in control. With Discovery Plus, there is subscribers, but it's still part of the Discovery Global conglomerate that they're trying to. That's still so connected to Discovery Channel, which is a cable channel, basically. So how are they going to survive? It's going to be very interesting. Obviously, we'll always keep an eye on these things to see what goes on and what happens. All right, let's move on to a little bit of a different news. We're going to be talking about IMAX is putting AI films on the big screen. An exhibition giants teaming up with Runaway AI to screen 10 shorts from Runaway's 2025 AI Film Festival across 10 major U.S. cities from August 17th to the 20th. The festival drew 6,000 submissions and will showcase AI-generated films at IMAX theaters in Los Angeles, New York City, Chicago, and beyond. It's a bold move for IMAX, which says it's excited to open our aperture to AI creators. The deal comes as IMAX is riding high. The second quarter profits surge 139%, with the company snagging 20% of opening weekend box office for major releases like F1, Mission Impossible, while Runaway, which already has a deal with AMC Networks and Lionsgate, is positioning itself as Hollywood's go-to AI partner as the industry grapples with integrating these tools into traditional filmmaking. Well, that's what I talk about this all the time. It's coming. If you're a filmmaker and you don't think it's coming, it's coming. And if you are sensitive or emotional about AI, AI doesn't give a crap about you. AI doesn't care. AI is going to be here. AI is coming. It's going to get into films. It's already deep into music. Shame on Spotify for not policing that. And congratulations to YouTube for saying that they are not going to pay creators that post AI videos. So they're not getting any more money from YouTube streaming. And so, congratulations. YouTube did something really, really nice. They are only emphasizing on human creators. Can you imagine? What a concept. So, AI creators are interesting because are they creators? Well, they're prompters, right? So, it's sort of like it's child's play. If you have a child and you say, I want you to write down, or not even write, I want you to tell me, because some of these are audio, you can actually speak into them. I want you to tell me about a great story that you would love to see. And a child is going to be like, I want to see about a superhero, and it's going to go into space, and then dinosaurs are going to come out, and it's going to give you these prompts. And AI, at some point, is going to be able to spit out feature films. As of right now, it has trouble with shorts, it has trouble with the eyes for some reason, like they bulge out. It has trouble with some human features because it's not human. It doesn't really know what a human does. It's just working on prompts. So we're in this we're in the beginning stages of whatever is going to come. Now, just talking about this last night, one of the things that AI has trouble doing, and this is going to be interesting to see some of these shorts and see how they've managed or what are they doing. Are they focusing on more animated things, or are they focusing on real humans? Or are the stories simplified? Are there emotions within these stories? That's one of the problems that AI has. AI has no emotions. AI doesn't know what an emotion is. It only knows what the prompts gives them. So when you prompt it to like be sad, it's gonna go, "Ooh," and you say, okay, not that sad. Okay, pretend you're sad, but then you realize how happy you are. It's just it doesn't have that human element of it doesn't. It's not Meryl Streep, right? It's not a great actress who can turn on the dime, who by the look of her eyes can tell you what's happening. The scene with Robert De Niro in The Irishman. Not a fan of the politics, but his acting is top notch. In this one particular scene, when Joe Pesci's character is telling him about something that's really difficult for him to hear. He doesn't say one word. He doesn't say one word during this whole scene and when Joe Pesci's character is talking. And his expression is that it just goes, it changes, it moves you, it pulls you in. He's really just acting. He's really just, it's really powerful scene. AI does not have this ability yet. Will it have it at some point? Well, the more stuff you feed it, the more it's going to draw from all that, right? So it will at some point, yes. Will it be in 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, 100 years? I don't know. It's moving pretty fast. As you can see right now, we already have an AI film festival. Fake movies written, prompted by AI creators are out there. Now, are humans going to be needed all the time? Yes, absolutely. Writers, creative ideas. Remember, AI doesn't have any creative ideas. It has ideas that were put into it, right? It just draws from it. So one of the damaging things that are happening with this whole AI thing is that they're grabbing content. They'll grab a movie, like somebody will grab all the Mission Impossible films, pop them into a computer, and then just ask the computer to make me a movie about this using different names, but the same concept. And there you have a new film. You know, is that stealing? Could be. You know, if you're using the same characters, obviously it's stealing. If you're using the theme song and all that, yes, you can't do that. But you can create something that's similar to something, because that's what all films are, right? A film is a similar thing to something that was, um, and it just with a different storyline, right? Storytelling is always going to be king. So if you're going to invest time in it, into anything, learn how to tell a good story, learn how to write a good story, learn how to shoot with a camera, learn how to work with human beings, because this is all going to be needed. AI will be a tool that can do certain things. So for instance, if I right now I'm on a green screen, right? You can see this thing that I have behind me. You got the logo, all these things that are there. The all, the background looks like this. This is all a green screen. Well, AI is going to be able to do that fairly quickly, and put me in any place that I want to be, where I can walk around. I can walk around in ancient Rome and dress like a Roman empire emperor and walk around, and it'll be totally amazing. And that's what AI is going to give you. So it's going to open up the doors for independent filmmakers to be able to say, hey, you know what? Now I can actually do that helicopter scene because AI is going to be able to make a helicopter for me, and it's going to be able to do all these things. Whereas in the past, if you had to have a helicopter scene, you can't afford it as an independent filmmaker. You have to fake it. You just got to look up and be like, there they come. That's the cheapest you can get. And back in the day. And now with AI, it's going to be a little bit more uh, plausible. It's going to open up the mind. It's going to open up more creative storytelling. It's going to give more creators, not AI creators, but more just genuine human creators, more abilities to look into their own creativity and make stories a little bit more expansive, where they can look at it and not be so constrained onto their finances and restricted on how much they can spend. And well, I can't shoot this in Times Square. I can only shoot it, so I have to find another location somewhere. Well, now you can shoot in Times Square, right? The most expensive film shot ever made was from Vanilla Sky with the Tom Cruise, where they shut down all of Times Square and he got to run through it with not one human being there. That cost $1 million just to shoot that just to close that street off for a few hours, and that was the most expensive shot. Well, now a couple of prompts will put you there, and you just run on a big lot, stage, and you're good to go. You can just run in place, and they'll just pop you into wherever they want to put you. It is nuts. It is nuts. My advice on this show has always been, if you're a filmmaker, learn about it. Learn all you can about AI and how you can incorporate it into your toolbox. And also try to figure out how to innovate with it. Use it and have fun with it. But never give up your storytelling. These AI films, I'm assuming they're 100% AI, so they were all prompted. So there's no humans involved on the screen. That's what I would assume. I'm gonna go see. I know that there's nothing here coming. Chicago is the closest place to me to go see these, August 17th to the 20th. This is going to be very interesting. I'm sure that they'll be out and about, and I'll be able to watch them later on some other platform. But this is what's coming, folks. So I just say, instead of running, I say just embrace it, learn about it, and try to figure out how you can utilize it as a tool into your traditional filmmaking. And that would be my advice. All right, friends. Let me see how much time we got. Yep, we're at the time here. Thank you so much for everybody for tuning in. I'll see you all tomorrow. Again, my name is John Henry Soto. I'm a filmmaker, and we talk about filmmaking here, and we talk about everything having to do with film. I'll even talk about music as a musician as well, and all the other wonderful things that come up. All right, take care, everybody. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow. And as always,